Hi, my name is Stacey Morier, and I'm the founding lawyer of Estate Connection Law Office in St. Albert, Alberta. Over the course of practicing law, I've had several clients that tell me, you know what, I don't need a lawyer to write a will. I'll just go write it myself. And that used to really bother me because I thought, oh, they don't see the value in my work. But I've dealt with enough families who are stuck picking up the pieces after their loved one hasn't written a will with a lawyer that it doesn't bother me yet anymore. I know that, hey, I'll make more money if you write your will yourself, picking up the pieces, than if you had done it properly in the first place. So let me tell you some stories about people who thought, hey, I'll write my will myself. I had a client who came to our office. Her father had lived in Calgary and he had written him his will himself. And it was handwritten, and he had gone through his home and he had listed absolutely everything. People were getting things that I'm sure they really didn't want. Like I knew who was getting his ladder, who was getting his tools, who was getting his washer and dryer. But unfortunately, he forgot to tell us who was going to get the house that the ladder was in, as well as the bank account, his two biggest assets. So, in that situation, we had an estate where we now had to probate a will and we had an intestacy on certain assets. Really didn't help the situation out at all. And in fact, he had even put a clause in there in his will when he had written it that, if anybody of my family wants any of this stuff here, they can take it. Well, that's pretty broad. When you say family, how many generations do we have to go back? Do we contact his sister who lives in Czechoslovakia? What exactly does that mean? And if we do have to contact the sister and she said she wants some property, who's going to pay to have that washer or dryer shipped there? You can see how this gets really messy, and all because someone didn't want to spend a couple $100 writing their own will or having a lawyer write their own will. So, another situation that I've seen is when people take will kits and they fill them out. And it probably makes sense to them, but unfortunately, the will kit itself, the wording just wasn't appropriate. And so they will say, you know what? I give my grandson this item, or Steve can have this and Jamie can have this item. And they break it out like that without any reference to who these people are. So you may have, if you say Steve, a grandson named Steve, or you may have a brother in law named Steve. You may have a mechanic that you take your vehicle named Steve. You kind of need to put a little more clarification on which Steve should be getting your money. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you really don't want to visit a lawyer to write your own will, well, you're better off to sit at home and fill out the paperwork in the comfort of your own home with just a sheet of paper. So take out that sheet of paper and say what you want to have happen to your documents. Now, I'm not going to tell you that at the end of the day, your family's going to be happy when they discover that piece of foolscap. And if they take it into any local bank, the banks are going to be like, we want probate. This isn't the area where you should be trying to save money. If you really want to save money, learn to cut hair. I mean, you're going to need many more haircuts and dyeing your hair if you do that than you will ever have to have written your will. Questions or concerns about your estate planning? Don't leave your family with a mess. Hire a professional lawyer to write your documents and contact our office. We're here to help.